under the impression that there's a perfect formula to figure out sleep.
And I think that we all have really, really great plans before our kids come.
Right.
And how do I do it? How do I make them listen to me?
The plans were that the baby would sleep, you know, like that was the plan. So for me, I thought that gentle parenting meant that I would be, pleasant and calm.
So sleep deprived that I couldn't function during the day. I wasn't myself anymore. I was feeling physically, mentally, and emotionally very unwell. I'm really surprised that medical professionals take it so lightly because it's not a small thing. And when you think about it from an evolutionary perspective, a tiny little baby, helpless, unprotected, shouldn't fall asleep with a sense of safety and comfort without their main attachment figure present.
Like you said, putting everything through the filter of your child, right? Not like this perfect child.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Ambitious Parenting. I'm so excited for this episode. Today is a special one. I'm with two amazing moms here, and we are going to have a curious, very exciting, and maybe surprising conversation about how we evolved in our parenting philosophy since we became a parent. And the two moms that I have here are from different cultural and personal backgrounds, which makes it more exciting for me. And I hope you enjoy it too. Let's get started. First of all, welcome, Sarah, Alex. I'm so happy to have you here. And let's get started with a small introduction on if you can share your name, where you are originally from, and where you are living right now, and in which different other cultures have you lived that may have an effect in your parenting philosophy today. And then how many kids do you have and how old are they? So, Alex, do you want to get started?
Absolutely. So I am Alex Watkins, and I am originally from a really small town in Nevada. I moved to Florida in my teens, and I have ended up doing the bulk of my parenting in Austin, Texas. Growing up, I had cultural backgrounds. My great grandparents were immigrants from Scandinavia, so from Norway and Sweden. And on the other side, I have recent immigrants from Germany. And I had a step grandmother who was from Bolivia. And so I have a sort of, I've gotten a peek at different types of parenting, but I would say primarily sort of traditional United States would be the culture I would claim. And I have one daughter. Her name is Gwen, and she's fabulous. I think I got all of it, right? Did I get all of it?
Yes. How old is Gwen? How old is she?
Oh, Gwen is 9 years old.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Alex. Sarah.
Hey everyone, my name is Sarah Zonouzi. I currently live in Vancouver, BC, Canada, and I am originally from Iran. I immigrated to Canada when I was 23 for school and ended up staying. And I live with my husband and 4.5-year-old son. And I would say our parenting philosophy, I mean, obviously, things that are culturally entrenched, but we did a ton of research. Both my husband and I wanted to see if we can let everything go from our past and discover parenting from a theoretical and science-based perspective. So yeah, lots of reading, lots of listening, lots of learning in order to kind of cobble together an approach to parenting that made sense to us. So yeah, that's us.
Thank you, Sarah. This makes it actually more interesting for my next questions because I feel that you guys, before having a kid, had decided on some philosophy around parenting, and because I feel all us parents had kind of that experience of thinking about how to be a parent before we have kids. And basically, most of the time, I hear this from other parents that we would say, I wouldn't ever, never do this or that. And I want to see if you had kind of a philosophy before becoming a parent, and like if that changed after you become a parent, with the specific example. Did you have any like ideas of how a parent did you want to be?
So that's such an interesting question. I think primarily, I wanted to be a very like relaxed and cheerful parent. And I was convinced that if I try hard enough, I could set aside some of my like core like personality traits. And that definitely didn't happen. I also had some like ideal like an ideal picture about our sleep situation in the house in mind, and that went out the window. So I would say like probably the biggest thing for me is around sleep.
Interesting. Okay, give me more details. Like what around? Like what did you have in mind around sleep?
So I was under the impression that there's a perfect formula to figure out sleep, that you could almost like program your kid to like learn how to sleep. And yeah, like I had listened to podcasts, and some people talked about how each kid is different and the sleep journey can vary widely between like from family to family and from kid to kid, even within the same family. But with sleep trainers and like sleep books, they kind of give you an impression that like if you take certain steps exactly according to what they tell you, that you will nail the sleep situation down, and that your kid will be in bed by 7 p.m. and will sleep through the night. And boy, oh boy, was that wrong. So yeah, that's our sleep journey was like pretty bumpy, to put it.
Interesting. Okay, I'm gonna get to what happened after I talked to Alex about that. Okay, Alex, you tell me. What was your philosophy, or some things that you were like, no, I'm not gonna, or I'm gonna do this way?
Yeah. So I think that we all have really, really great plans before our kids come. Right. I did a lot of research. I was really interested in attachment parenting. So I did, baby wearing and gentle parenting and just I had a lot of ideas, but I wasn't really prepared for or thinking about like my child, right? Like you think about a child in theory, um, but then the reality is, right, that just like with any relationship, you have to adapt to the person who's in front of you. And my daughter was spirited from the first day. She would be nursing and she'd be just like looking all around, like, what's going on? How can I be a part of everything? And she barely slept for like 3 years. When she did sleep, she slept in my bed, which I thought I was never going to do. And she has so many wonderful qualities that I admire in a human, especially in a woman, that really matter to me, but that are not great for a child or not great as the parent of that child, right? So she's super spirited. She has opinions about everything. Um, and the thing that we have kind of come to is Ross Greene's, he has a book called Parenting the Explosive Child, and it's about negotiating, and coming to solutions together with the child. And I never really thought that I'd be like compromising or trying to ask my kid to fix the problems. I thought that was my job as the parent, right? Um, but yeah, that's kind of where we've ended up. But I did have lots of great ideas when I got started, none of which I think I'm actually doing today.
You know what is funny to me? The part that you said, I was planning to do gentle parenting. Oh my God, I resonate with that so much, Alex, which my gentle parenting has become opposite at some, episodes of parenting. And those episodes are not the ones that I expected. Like, I never imagined that one of those episodes would be, go brush your teeth and go to bed, which would take me 1 hour. And I start with gentle parenting, with a 3-year-old, but then like I never ever expected that such an easy thing would be the opposite of gentle parenting. So I hear you. Basically, this is what I'm hearing. The approach that you take to, because you want to have some disciplines for your kids, and applying those disciplines with gentle parenting becomes difficult. And how do I do it? How do I make them like listen to me for the things that are good, like should be for like it's good for them? This is one thing I hear. And the other thing that I hear is around sleep, same thing as what as Sarah mentioned. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, I mean, just none of the plans were that the baby would sleep, you know? Like, that was the plan. And yeah, I think we had it when I don't think we had, like, a straight stretch of 8 hours for the first 5 years of her life. So, yeah, I did actually, I'm ashamed to say I didn't really think about the sleep part at all. And then when I did think about it, I followed every piece of advice, but never, like, with any consistency. And then now I think, I don't know, Gwen goes to bed and I hope I hope that she's sleeping. Usually, I think she's leading. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's yeah. I had this. Okay, let me say shame. I didn't have any philosophy before parenting. To be honest, I started reading after I was a parent. I want to hear more about that gentle parenting that didn't work, and the book that you mentioned. Can you mention that book again and give a little bit more detail on how did you figure out like how many years was Gwen that you could actually have a conversation with her and figure out, for example, a consequence to something that she's doing wrong or figuring out the rules together.
Yeah, so for me, I thought that gentle parenting meant that I would be, pleasant and calm, it's like Sarah, and then, the child would comply, and we would just have this beautiful, loving relationship where she did everything that I wanted her to do. And and I mean, that doesn't work for anything, right? That's not a realistic thing. So when she was about 3, well, I guess when she was 4, we went to COVID and she did not take it very well. We were in lockdowns. We were at home, and all of a sudden, the support structures where she got a lot of the meaning of her day. She was in Montessori school. She was learning all of the things. Were just sort of gone, and I didn't have the resources to continue to provide that kind of like beautiful environment for her. It was sort of all hands on deck and just kind of survival mode. But she started having these huge fits. She was just so angry, and upset, and I couldn't speak to her in that moment. I couldn't rationalize with her, and then I got really frustrated because it was just like, "Comply. I've been doing all of this work. Why are you not falling in line?" So we tried a bunch of different things, to be honest with you. Um, from being a super authoritarian parent, right? "You will do this or else this," to, just kind of throwing up our hands. But then I was recommended Ross Greene's Parenting the Explosive Child, or maybe it's just the Explosive Child. And his premise is that children all want to do well, but some of them don't have the skill set to perform in the ways that we want to, right? So like if they're struggling to meet some sort of standard or requirement, it's not because they're being bad or disobedient. It's just because they don't have the tools yet. And the best thing that we can do as a parent is try to make them a part of the solutioning on that problem. So he says, it's like the plan A of parenting, and it takes time, and you only focus on a few important things at a time. So if brushing your teeth and going to bed is a big thing, I would go ask Gwen, something along the lines of, "Hey, I noticed that you're struggling with brushing your teeth and going to bed. What's up with that?" And then have a conversation. Try to suss out like what are the things that are getting in the way of her meeting that standard that we have, and then try to think through some solutions that could potentially address that barrier. Because I think a lot of times we don't ask children. We assume they're being willful or that we know the reason why they're not doing things. But I think that it helps Gwen feel heard and respected. And for her as a super independent and willful, or not willful, but I mean, yes, she is willful. She has a will, right? She has a very strong preference for how things are going to go, and that's great. But I didn't ever ask her that, and so of course she was frustrated. And then when we started asking her, it was just sort of like a light bulb moment.
What you were just talking about, Alex, I was just reading Dan Siegel and Tina Payne Bryson's book, No Drama Discipline. And that's exactly what they talk about in terms of having these problem solving conversations where, yes, it'll help you attain your short term benefits and goals, like, for instance, brushing your teeth, but it also has this like major long term effect of what they call brain building. So, like, you're building the brain of your little child and their creative problem solving skills, and like helping them to regulate and think through a problem as opposed to feel like they have to like lash out in order to get the result that they want.
And you know what came very interesting to me was she was 4 when you were talking to her, and that reminded me. And it's a huge reminder that a kid as young as 3, you can, in my opinion, you can have a discussion about anything that you want to set as a goal, in the way that they understand. I remember that was the first time that we had to actually discuss, because Donna was sucking her thumb, and the dentist told us this is the time, and it's making some changes in her like mouth and jaw area that she has to stop. And then we had a conversation, and she was convinced. And I told her what the dentist said, and we were like a team doing this together. And I think this is very important, that your kid feels that you are on their team when you have a conversation like that. What you said, Alex and Sarah, the same thing that you mentioned it from the other book. When we have this the conversation with them, it's like they feel that we are on their team. But if we come from an authoritative, um, level of parenting and tell them like, do this because I say, then they don't feel you're on their team. They feel that you're on a separate team, and like these teams are fighting, and that's not good for our relationship or for even the goal that we want to, get finally to it. It's not helpful. So, and the other thing, Alex, you mentioned, it was very interesting to me, the fact that she felt heard, like her feelings, and you acknowledge that. It's when they don't behave, and oh my God, I cannot agree more that there's nothing bad about the kid. Every time she doesn't behave, I get back to myself. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? There's something in this dynamic of our relationship that I'm missing. And sometimes they don't even know what it is. Even if you ask them, they don't know. For example, I had the second child, and she started not like my daughter, started not behaving. And I'm like, who is this new person? The only thing she needed was 2 hours of quality time with mommy per week. That was it. And she couldn't tell me, because if I asked her, are you behaving like this? Why are you not listening? She didn't know it was because I missed mommy. I miss quality time with mommy. Sometimes as parents, I feel we need to be creative. And that's why you told me that we experience many things. We experience authoritative parenting. We experience this. That was another experiment for us. We were like, maybe quality time with mommy would fix it, and maybe like, and we try different solutions. Maybe this would work, maybe that would work. And this comes from both of you. You are people who I know you are both into science and facts, and it shows me that because kids are very different human beings, and it gets so complicated. As much as you read all the books and you have all the facts, but as much as you read, still when it gets to the real, I would call it adventure, we still need to do trial and error. And there are so many debates between other different books. So that's pretty interesting to me. Sarah, let's get back to the sleeping stuff that you talked about. So after the fact, now you had your baby and then toddler and then every stage. What happened after, and how did you change your philosophy around sleeping?
So I was pleasantly surprised when Alex said for the first 3 years they didn't have much sleep at all. That was exactly the same for us. Like, our kid would not sleep through the night, almost like exactly to the day that he was 3, and then it started to get a bit better. And I was at a point where I was like throwing my hands up, and I was like, whatever, this is my life now. This is just how it's gonna be. I'm just gonna be a sleep deprived zombie forever now. But basically what happened for us was I was so sleep deprived that I couldn't function during the day. I remember we were 7 months in. I was blessed with a year-long mat leave, so it wasn't like I had to work in the day, but I was mentally and emotionally very stressed. I wasn't myself anymore. I was feeling physically, mentally, and emotionally very unwell. So I clearly remember there was this day when our kid was 7 months old, and I was like, "That's it. Like, I can't do this anymore. We have to figure something out." So at that point, he was expected to sleep in his crib in his own room. And we started to look into sleep training. We heard so many success stories. The formula seemed very clear. And all we had to do was to bear through the crying. I checked with our pediatrician, I checked with our family doctor. They all said, there's no evidence on like how, if this has any bad impact on the child long term. Don't worry about it. If you power through the crying, salvation will come forever. So we were like, okay, let's do this. So we started doing it. It was brutal. Like I still feel the pain in my body as I talk about it. It's like so visceral. It was the worst thing ever. I'm really surprised that medical professionals take it so lightly because it's not a small thing. Regardless, we powered through the pain, and for not even 2 months, we thought that this is, like, solved. We would put him in his crib, and he would fall asleep. Um, and after 2 months, he caught a cold, a very bad one, and this was still during COVID, so I was also really nervous, like, if it becomes something like respiratory or maybe COVID. Like, at that point, we didn't even know if babies could get it, and it was pretty hard. Super high fever as like everyone knows, like small kids get them. They're very stressful, and he also had like a little bit of difficulty breathing. So obviously, like you're soothing your baby, sleeping with them through the night to make sure like everything's like under control. And lo and behold, like 3 days into the sickness, all that training went out the window. So as soon as he was feeling better, he wasn't falling asleep by himself anymore. Our pediatrician told us, well, you just have to do it all over again. It won't take as long this time around. But don't worry, like it'll go back. And we're like, there's no way that we'll do that ever again. So we started like brainstorming what can we do to help him fall asleep while we're comfortable. We tried so many different things. We ended up getting a queen mattress for his bedroom where we could both lie on until he fell asleep. Mm, but that was almost worse. Like we would fall into this deep sleep and kind of like wake up with like a heavy 10-month-old head on like my chest or my belly, and I'm like sore and aching and like moving this kid and rolling out of that mattress and like going into my bed and never falling asleep for a couple of hours after that. It was just so uncomfortable. But that was our situation for a while, mainly because I couldn't muster the courage to move on from that phase. So after like over a year of that, we kind of we got him a different bed. We switched to like sitting in his room while he fell asleep. And I remember like I would get so frustrated. I was like, yes, fall asleep. I have like a ton of work to do. Like I want to get out of this dang room. And it would take so long for him to fall asleep. It was almost like my presence was a distraction. I should add that throughout this whole journey, he could only fall asleep if I was present. So my husband or no one else would work. It just had to be me. And ultimately, basically by the time it was 3, we had a conversation and we were like, listen, kid, like the chair is moving outside your room. we're going to be there, but we're just not going to be with you in the room. And that finally stuck. But in retrospect, I'm just like I'm so surprised that there's not enough out there about how brutal and almost like nonsensical sleep training is. And like when you think about it from an evolutionary perspective, a tiny little baby, like helpless, unprotected, shouldn't fall asleep with a sense of safety and comfort without their main attachment figure present, because like there used to be so many environmental threats, and like that makes so much sense that a little baby can't sleep by themselves. And like if I was thinking clearly at that time, like if I knew better, I should say, like I would never have done that. And I think in our case, because he wasn't a sleeper, I would probably go for co-sleeping. But anyway, hindsight, right? Like, so yeah, that was our journey. And like to think of all the books that we read, and yeah, all the sleep trainers that I followed on Instagram, hoping for some like magic formula. Yeah, it was rough.
I I feel many parents resonate with that, and you know what? I wish more parents would share these stories. More parents from our side who didn't sleep well, compare those who are like, "Oh, my baby was sleeping since she was 4 months." I don't feel comfortable when the pediatrician asks me, is like if like he didn't ask me today. Thank God she didn't ask me today. But when they ask me, is he sleeping through the night? And I have to, like he has phases. For 3 weeks, he's sleeping through the night. For another 3 weeks, he's waking up 3 times. For another 3 weeks, we don't know what's going on in their body. Maybe his bones are like growing so fast and it's painful, and he needs like me to comfort him and let him know, I know you're going through pain. We never know. They cannot communicate that, and I don't know why we become embarrassed to say yes. It's like I'm doing something wrong that I'm attending to his needs during the night, and that's not an okay culture. And Sarah, I want to go back to your point that you said before we become a parent, we decided to throw everything out that we had from our culture and our parents. And we wanted to go to everything from the science and fact point of view. And this is very close to what I did. I did after I had my first, but I still had that mentality. And that's why I'm having this podcast, because I realized the wisdom that comes from many cultures and not just our culture. Like if you talk to Mexican parents, there's one book is, the title is Do Parents Matter? And two anthropologists wrote that book. They went to like many different countries and watched people like from pregnancy until they have babies and then toddlers and then kids and on different ages, and they just observed the process and the result, and they were like, there are many different cultures and many different ways, and if there are many things that and now I feel like that it's common in many cultures and many hands were doing it from their common sense and naturally, maybe we should think about it and not throw it out completely. And I don't agree that we should not follow science. We all read books still, but now we are reading them, in my opinion, critically and talking to other people about their experiences. This is what has changed in me. If I want to do something, I will talk to 5, 6 different moms who are like you, who have the science and fact base. They actually care about science. They actually care about facts, not just, random experiences. But at the same time, they take into account culture, experiences, other like wisdom from other people's experiences. And then I use my own judgment. This is like what different papers are debating on. And this is what all my friends who I know them and I really believe in how they're managing their, like as a parent. I think about using my own common sense and combine all that knowledge and do it. And the other thing is it's okay to have regrets as a parent, and it's fine. It's like, it's not that, oh my God, we ruined them forever. Like, oh my God, Alex, you told me something as a parent. I remember, I'm like, I'm going to pay for their therapist for the first 2, 3 years. That's on me. But, but after that, it's on them. it's not possible to be perfect. So we all have regrets. And again, I want to point out that both of you are very people who are very into science, and you know how to read research papers, and you get deep into the science, and you are scientists, and we still have regrets. We made a mistake and we did trial and error. And I feel that's a very important lesson. So I truly, truly appreciate you sharing that in this podcast today, in this episode. And I hope we help some parents to feel a little bit more relaxed and calm about making mistakes and do trial and errors. Any last points you want to share or anything?
No, I love that. Thank you. And I do think, just like you said, putting everything through the filter of your child, right? Not like this perfect child. I think the wisdom of the moms in your community, and you are such a great friend to me, and you really help me see, like, again, there is great wisdom in just speaking to the women in your lives, and yeah, going from there and thinking about your child and what works best for them. So I appreciate that, and thank you for asking
Oh,
today.
thank you, Alex. The feeling goes both ways, and I have learned so much about many things when I have questions, both you, Sarah, and Alex. And I really believe in what you have experienced and what you have read. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you both.
Thank you for having me.
سفر در پیش و دارم دل و دنبال خدا جان قافله که میکنی با خداوند جهانی خداوند زمین و آسمانی مالشون خداوند تو پیران را بیاموز مالشون خداوند جوانان را ببخشان